The Hero Villain book update here regarding the man who built Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto. And, you know, we talked about it before, it's going to be this book is really getting exciting right now regarding the proof. And let's go ahead and break down some of the interesting things. The proof chapter, one of the stories that's coming up now is more information about McGregor. Now, McGregor apparently was a patent attorney. Okay, and he was the one that actually started Encrypt. Now, interesting little background on this whole story is when Craig Wright goes up and he flies up to Canada to go meet with Calvin Ayre with Matthews, and Calvin Ayre's on like some sort of a, you know, he's stuck there between Canada and Antigua because of a case he has going on, and they have this like all-nighter. They drink wine, have a good time, and the next morning they wake up and they're having breakfast, and all of a sudden, I think it's Matthews, he sets up a meeting, he calls up McGregor, he's like, we got to meet McGregor, and he's here in town. So these three guys get into a freaking taxi. McGregor happens to be out of town, he calls him up, he's like, I'm out of town, but you can go by my office. These three guys go into a taxi, and they go to McGregor's office, and I'm just wondering to myself, I'm like, who the heck sat in shotgun in the taxi? Matthews, Wright, and Calvin Ayre. Who sat shotgun? I bet you it was Matthews. That's just my guess. So they get to the office. Anyways, it doesn't go too well. Wright calls them out. They're trying to build a blockchain project at Encrypt, and Wright calls them out and says they don't know what they're doing. Now, shortly thereafter, they bolt. Calvin Ayre says, let's leave. And McGregor calls up Matthews, and he says, again, who is this guy? What's going on? Why did you guys ambush my office like that? And he says, you know, he tries to basically, you really want to hear the whole story, and he basically breaks it all down. McGregor doesn't say a word for like half an hour throughout the entire conversation. He finally says, are you still there? Are you listening? He's like, yeah, I'm here. I just don't believe any of it. He's like, okay, if you don't believe any of it, it sounds crazy. This guy's whole Satoshi thing, it sounds nuts. I get it. So he says, well, if you want to come meet him out in Sydney, come out here. He's like, no, I'll pass. So a couple weeks later, he goes, Matthews is back out there with Wright, and he says, McGregor decides he wants to meet him. He gets to the office, and he finds he's going through some papers, and there's only three guys in the office. There's Wright, his attorney, and another guy. And he's going, the office is a mess, all the computers everywhere, there's no staff, and McGregor's going through paperwork, and he says on the paperwork that he finds papers that say that Wright created. All right, partner, got my seatbelt on. What's your name? Malachi, nice to meet you. I'm Gavin. So thanks for the ride down to Hayward. Yeah, I got a little sunburn over the beach this weekend, so I'm just making a joke about that. But I'm finishing up a little video, like a little vlog video on this new book I'm reading called, it's called The Hero Villain, The Man Who Built Bitcoin by Satoshi Nakamoto. Or about Satoshi Nakamoto, this guy who built Bitcoin. It's by this guy, Mark. Anyways, it's a fascinating story, and what I'm talking about right now is the part in the book where Wright is, so Matthews and this guy McGregor, who's an attorney, a patent attorney, and basically what he does is he's calling into question. He flies down to Sydney anyways. He takes the challenge with Wright, Malachi, and he says, I'll go ahead and fly down there. He gets to the office, and Wright is claiming to be Satoshi, right? He finds paperwork from a 2006, he basically it's blockchain and Bitcoin paper. It didn't say Bitcoin, but it's all this blockchain forensic papers that Wright had been writing dated in 2006 with his name on it. And being a patent attorney was like intellectual property papers. So it was about like the filing patents and whatnot, apparently. So because McGregor was, that was his language, you know, he was involved in blockchain, he was doing Encrypt at the time, and he was a patent attorney. He knew, he saw the validity of it. He says, this guy really is, he might be Satoshi. So what happens next is, there's like a wild card that comes up. So McGregor, you know, he signs a deal that day or that week while he's in Sydney with Wright. And what he does is he says, I'll go ahead and give you all the money that you need to survive down here, pay your staff, and get all the, basically get your business off the ground. Because he's gutted. His company's completely gutted. He's got no staff, no funds, and like see 3 people left, and people only just working there as volunteers. So he goes and he says, he's like, I'll give you all the money that you need. However, there's a clause inside the agreement. This didn't come up until later in the book. It says that, but you have to give me all your rights, your life your rights to publish your rights as Satoshi Nakamoto. So he signs there's like a little clause in the bottom of the contract that says something like, oh, you know, by the way, in fine print, you have to this also includes giving me your rights to publish the book or authorship as Satoshi Nakamoto. So Wright signs it. McGregor never signs the deal. He doesn't sign the paperwork, but Wright does, and I guess Matthews does as well. So then, now that was in October of 2015. Now, the Gizmodo and Wired magazine articles, they didn't come out till December, 2 months later. So now, a few chapters ahead in the proof section, what's coming out now is that November 2015, between the time the articles are published and then the time that McGregor signs that deal with Wright in October, so the month between, McGregor has a meeting with none other than Andrew O'Hagan. And Andrew O'Hagan is the author. He's a Irish author, like a well-known author, and he published some works that Mr. McGregor was interested in or liked. And so he publishes these, and he meets with him, and he basically strikes up a deal. He says, listen, I want you to write the authorship about Satoshi Nakamoto and by this guy Craig Wright, and publish the book. O'Hagan doesn't sign the deal. He doesn't sign the NDA, but he agrees to do it, I guess, on a handshake. Now, a month later, who benefits from Wright being outed as Satoshi the most? Freaking McGregor. McGregor benefits the most. He signed this deal. This deal is like unknown. I mean, I had no idea about this deal. So he benefits by him being outed as Satoshi because he gets the right to publish his life work. He gets the press, all the press. It's hype now. Oh, this guy, they got news everywhere and the media's all around him. You know, they raid his house, the tax office. He's like a fugitive almost. And who wins? McGregor. So McGregor this whole time is like playing in the background, and people are just wondering like who had the motive? I guess maybe this guy Kleiman, but my theory is because of this book, and says it could have been McGregor the whole time that had the actual motive to outright a Satoshi. Like, comment, subscribe. Okay, and be sure to check that book out. I'll put a link to the book in my description here in the very top if you want to get it on Amazon. It's a great read, and it's on paperback. I'm just freaking read the whole thing. Yeah, what's that, Malachi?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? Satoshi Nakamoto, the man who built Bitcoin, hero or villain. It's a it's going to be a new bestseller. Just came out. So, all right, so be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. This is Gavin, male Gavin Gregory. All right, I'll see you at the top. This revolutionary technology that is basically like, and then this is the confusion about Bitcoin, Malachi, is that, see, people, the anarchist people, they want Bitcoin to hide from tax. They want Bitcoin to hide from crime, hide from their problems, and that is not at all what Bitcoin does, because it creates a ledger. You know, that's the last thing you want to do if you want to do crime, is to use Bitcoin, because now you're traced to it. You know, it's like, oh, there it is. It went right to you, buddy. Have a night. You know, we got you. But people who don't understand it, they think that it's some sort of a privacy token that they can hide behind and do crime. And that's the last thing that it's about. It's about this transparency, creating an honest truth ledger for everyone, so that we can have more honesty, more transparency in government, in banks, in institutions, and create this open ledger. It's an open ledger. It's all Bitcoin is it's a blockchain with a transparent ledger that everyone uses, and it's validated through miners through a proof of work system, where all the miners are basically finding consensus, which is going to be agreeing on, yes, this transaction's legit, it's not double spent. And because it hasn't been double spent, then they validate the transaction and it goes on the blockchain. So it's the first time that has ever been a system that is that allows transactions to happen without an intermediary or a third party or a bank, a title company, an institution in the middle. And because of that, this is what makes it so hated, so loved, so controversial, because the legacy system is thriving on that middleman, being the middleman. And so the banks, the credit cards, the title companies, the county recorders, everybody, they're all middlemen. Insurance companies, they're all middlemen, they're brokers, and they make a huge amount of money by keeping their business going. So what they tried to do was try to stop Bitcoin. They realized it was too late. They couldn't stop it. And since they couldn't stop it, then they basically, I believe what they did is they created Blockstream. They funded a company called Blockstream, which is basically block the stream of Bitcoin. It's Blockstream. And that company is designed to not let Bitcoin grow and scale. And so they basically, the original Bitcoin, it forked off. Well, I'm sorry, that chain that wasn't scaling, it forked off and created what's called BTC, which is Bitcoin Core. And then the original chain, it had to do a Genesis upgrade in 2020 to then basically bring back the entire Genesis document, the Genesis block from 2009 forward. And then it's trading under the ticker called BSV. But ultimately, it's the Bitcoin blockchain is what it is. But it is trading, and then there's also Bitcoin Cash, which is another, which is where the basically the separation really happens. So, anyways, the point of Bitcoin is not to take down the banks, but actually give the banks a railroad, a way to. It's to give the banks a new way to transact. And you know, the biggest competition for Bitcoin is not the banks. It actually helps the banks. What the competition is the SWIFT system. Have you heard of the SWIFT system, Malachi? Where you go to the bank and you send a SWIFT, right? So that SWIFT system, that's the real competitor of Bitcoin. So those guys, whoever owns that, they should, I'm sure they probably have a lot to do with this as well. But the banks should be embracing Bitcoin because it gives them a cheaper way to operate all their transactions for their customers, and that enables an honesty mechanism, and it enables the banks to automatically allow their system to be auditable. So they don't have to go through a ton of paperwork and third parties and pay KPMG and these institutions to back everything up when it's all on the blockchain. You know, so it's truly saving the banks bacon. They should love Bitcoin. If they really get into it. And I think that's what's happening right now is I believe that banks and they're originally I think they were trying to do was build their own blockchain, and they want to do a private blockchain. But you know, we've been through that already with the internet. And you know, when the internet first came out, they tried to do a private internet. Do you remember intranet?
Yeah, intranet.
Intranet, right? That was like maybe Microsoft or whoever was behind that. They were trying to build another internet. It was going to be owned by that company. And people are like, oh, forget about that. Why would we want to use your internet? What if you want to raise the price on us? You know, forget that. No one went for that, and everyone went to internet, which was the World Wide Web. And that's because that's the open source that everybody uses. It doesn't cost money to go on it. And that's what Bitcoin is it's the open source ledger that literally costs less than a penny to do a transaction. Less than a penny to do a transaction, and you and I can do business together and pay for this Uber ride. You can make money directly from me and not have Uber in the middle. And Uber actually will benefit from this, let's say in the future, because Uber will actually give Uber more transparency, and it will actually give them cheaper transactions, and they don't have to pay the 3% credit card fee to MasterCard, Visa. And Uber can still charge money for having the service because they obviously provide a valuable service by matching us. So they're going to charge their money, but the rates for Uber will go way down once it integrates onto the Bitcoin blockchain. It will go way down. Well, or they'll be able to make more money. Drivers will be able to make more money because of the way the system is designed, and it won't have. It will eliminate the credit card transaction fees. 3% on every transaction minimum.
That would be nice.
That's gone. Yeah. So. Well, this is great, Malachi. I greatly appreciate it, and thanks for the ride down to Hayward. I'll see everyone at the top. A little continuation on this here. I'm doing a little bit of a sunburn Bitcoin blockchain video right now. You know, so a lot of fun.